Hey
Hi
guys.
guys, welcome to our new channel. If this is the first time you're looking at my face, I'm Aarti and this is
Prithvi.
Yes, we're an Indian couple who moved to Belgium in March 23.
Yeah, in this channel, we'll be sharing our life experience as an Indian expat in living in Europe.
Yeah, having said that, let's kickstart our very first video where we talk about the living expenses of a couple living in Belgium. If you're planning to move to Europe or if you're just curious enough to know what it even takes for a couple to live there, this video is for you. Let's talk money. So the first and the most important part is the housing. For a couple to live in Ghent or rent an apartment in Ghent, for example, let's say a 2-bedroom apartment, which is ranging around like 100 meter squares, the cold rent would range somewhere between 850 to 1000 euros today. By cold rent, I mean the rent that doesn't include any of the water, electricity, anything. It's just for the apartment itself without any furnishing stuff. That would range around this, and this definitely depends on the locality or exact location or how far you're from the city center. The rent varies, and also like EPC rating of the building. By EPC I mean the energy efficiency. Like for example, the houses with the EPC of like lesser than C or something will have a bit lesser rent, but it will definitely affect you later, which we will know it later. But the houses which has EPC of A, B or something, A plus is going to have rent in this range. So to give you a precise thing, we as a couple live in Ghent and we kind of live in a 3-bedroom. Let's say it's like technically 2, but the third bedroom is made into a dressing room, and definitely our rent is in this range. And we also have a couple of friends who live in a 2-bedroom who pays the same amount, and everyone lives in Ghent. So, and also the another thing which I want to add is it's not a said law or something, but most of the landlords prefer this. Like they expect your salary to be at least 3 times of your rent. They don't say it, but they feel comfortable to give you an apartment costing that when you have a salary of that range. So you really cannot be jobless and expect a villa or something. Okay. So if you're single or if you prefer to be in a studio apartment, let's say your rent is going to range somewhere around 600 to 800. This totally depends on how furnished it is or what's the EPC rating or how really close it to the city center. And also, as much as I've known, 1-bedroom apartments are also ranging in around that same range. So to conclude, after all the talking, all I'm trying to explain or try to let you know is you can definitely find an apartment in Ghent in around 1000 euros. But if you really want to go to the city center, the rent is going to shoot up because it's a very old city, it's so touristy, it's going to be expensive. But somewhere around the vicinity, decent commute to your work, you can definitely find something in 1000 euros, the cold rent. Yes, let's move to the next topic. So the next non-negotiable utilities are like water, heating, Wi-Fi, electricity. Let's talk about these bills, adulting stuff. Okay, so let's first deal with the water and heating bill. So we live in an apartment, and apartments generally also have the common maintenance bill, which is like to maintain the lifts and anything and everything that happens in the apartment. So on average, we pay around like 200 per month for like the common maintenance and water and heating. And also apart from this, at the end of the year you get a final bill. So being here for around 2.5 years, like calculating the whole thing, for a month we approximately pay around 250 to 300. So we're a couple, we're working, so eventually you shower every day. So this is the average usage for the heating and water. So this is the amount. So the next bill is about electricity. So before I talk about the bill, we have our heating with gas, so the electricity is just for the utilities in the house. So per month the range is around 60 to 80. It depends on the usage. Like for example, my parents came over, electricity was a little bit higher, and otherwise electricity is a bit like 10 euros lesser. So the range is 60 to 80. So now let's talk about the Wi-Fi, the internet. So the internet is so expensive. It's really so cheap in India. So there are different providers for Wi-Fi in Belgium like Proximus, Telenet, Orange, Scarlet and so on. So for having a Wi-Fi, home Wi-Fi plus 2 SIM cards, it ranges somewhere from 70 euro to 90 euros. And if you want to have fiber, it can even be expensive, but this is the ideal range which works good. Next bill is commuting. So if you commute to work by public transport, it's around like 50 euros. It's not free. It's public transport is not free in Europe. It's the biggest myth. You have to pay the money. So it's 50 euros per month. And if you, mostly your employer reimburses it for you. But we have an electric car. I don't know why, but we have an electric car. So we also don't have a parking in our apartment. So we need to rent a parking. And for that we pay 50 euros. I've heard it's also expensive out there, but we have 50. And also with the car comes fuel. The fuel is somewhere around 100. It definitely depends on the winter or summer, but average it's 100 euros. Next bill is the food. For the food, there are different types of supermarkets like Delaire's, Albertine, Carrefour, and many more. So for a couple, and we are Indian, so we mostly kind of cook. If you're gonna eat bread, it's a whole different story. But if you're gonna have like cooked meals most of your time, so for lunch, this is going to be the range. And we also go to Indian store. There's one Indian store in Ghent, and so we go here to Indian store and also to the Belgian stores. So for an average per month, which I have calculated, it's around 300 to 350 euros, depending on how much or how expensive products you choose. And also we buy our meat, so including all of that, including everything, for a food, it's 300 to 350. So next is the miscellaneous amount that just flies from a bank account out of nowhere. This happens every month and I don't know how. There's always something that's empty in this house. It's always something you have to buy that's around 100 to 150 euros. I'm someone who's definitely stingy with money, and this is my amount. So this amount can be definitely, like varying, but if you're really strict, you can definitely figure out your miscellaneous expense maximum, let's say like 100 to 150. Let's keep it that range. So to conclude all the bills, for a couple, it's gonna be somewhere from 1,800 to 2,300 non-negotiable bill that happens every single month. So this is something without your shopping, without your trips, without anything under the sun. This is your non-negotiable bill. So before I could finish off the video, I'm trying to say this, in my opinion, we're living a decent life. But the term decent or the term luxurious is very, very subjective, and you can definitely be stingier or you can definitely be fancier. That's totally your choice, but this is the average range. So if you've come this far, if you've watched my face all along, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful and you could get a rough estimate of what it takes to live here. So it's time to sign off, and my plus one is already dying behind the camera, so I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.